Everything you see, hear, and observe around you about America and most of the world in that matter, especially after the 2020 COVID outbreak pandemic, did not happen by accident. This was all planned decades ahead. So I've been making videos about how my hometown Cincinnati has become a dying city, which went viral really fast, people commenting left and right. Some of the comments were not the best, others were actually pretty interesting to read, but for the most part, they just seem as if young kids or brainwashed people from Democratic areas are writing stupid things to me. Anytime you talk about how, like, corrupt the system is, you tend to get, like, silenced by sheeple on the internet. And I can tell you right now, all those sheeple and soulless sheep Democrats basically trying to silence you, it's not an accident. Try and look back in your childhood. Most people don't remember their childhood. In my childhood in California, I can tell you everything that happened today is not an accident. I remember, like, in our childhood, they tried brainwashing us, seducing us, like the John Rockefeller school system. It still affects today. And if you thought outside of the box, or if you are brighter than the rest of the lights, they single you out. They cuss at you, they punish you. Doctors will tell you have ADHD and that you should take medication. Like, look at Nazi Germany in World War II, where they did all these experiments on the Jewish people, including medicational lab experiments. Like, really think about that. In childhood, anyone who thought outside of the box or put their foot down, they were silenced and singled out, told they had to take drugs. That's not an accident. It's not a mistake. So all these people have been brainwashed for 8 hours a day in school and get brainwashed from home from the previous generations who were also brainwashed. Just look at the pattern. Like, when we look back at what America was like after World War II, we had a significant economic boom. Your grandparents' generation will always tell you, back in my day, things were so simple. Back in my day, we didn't have people like that. Back in my day, we can buy a house. Back in my day, we had a good education, went to college, and we were rich. Back in my day, like, I can go on and on, but you get the idea. When you look back at what it was like companies and employers from the top down cared about their employees to a degree, built relationships with them, gave them raises, promotions, incentives to stay at the company. They would promote them to management or corporate after being with the company for so long. They get incentives to want to stay. You fast forward today, that's not a thing anymore. You don't get raises. You don't get promotions. You don't get pensions. You don't get Social Security. You're basically a wage slave. You come in, you work over 40 hours a week, longer than your grandparents' generation by double. You are working more hours than, like, a hardworking person who is trying to get out of tens of thousands in debt back in their day just to be able to barely afford anything. Think about it. You come in, you do the job, you work overtime, working 6 or 7 days a week, working 2 jobs, and most people are still broke as a joke. Like, with all the crumbling infrastructure, the new stupid rules that are coming in, the socialist dictatorship, and people silencing you on social media and online, America is starting to look like a third world country. Now, we aren't really a third world country yet. We still have freedoms compared to other countries and can do this and that with our free speech. But you notice on social media like Facebook, they're trying to silence what you say. If you say things like, this is fucking retarded, or that in a sentence together, it violates community standards. And when you try to comment anything on YouTube, they'll say things like, keep it respectful, here are the rules. They're limiting your speech and what to say. Mainly they're trying to filter out negative comments, but they still come in. They always find ways. Like, social media, when you scroll down, you just see thousands of people doing the exact same trend over and over and over and over and over. It's like a Chinese propaganda where, like, thousands or millions are doing the exact same thing over and over, and they get incentives with money or rewarded with, like, fitting in and blending in. If you're different, you're kind of, like, hated or silenced in the crowd, especially when you say anything on social media. And that's been going on after 2020. Like, have you noticed the moment 2020 happened, right after February, that virus came out of nowhere around the world, and nobody, including governments and politics, did a thing about it. Like, everyone was grabbing toilet paper and cleaning products for whatever reason I still don't know to this day. People just don't think before they talk or do action. All those videos I make talking about topics like this, I get flooded with comments that either don't make sense or just seem kind of ignorant to me, or just seem like they're trying to silence me or make me look like I'm stupid. And from what I'm reading in these comments, it's typically coming from younger people, like Gen Z or even millennials like my age, or older generations. And the one thing they all have in common is that they post TikTok videos, they have TikTok brain, they can't stay focused when I'm talking to them. When I call them out on something, they don't seem to respond properly. Or if I ask them something like, you don't do anything that I'm talking about, or you're not listening to anything I'm saying, they just kind of babble. Like, for example, people in California, they don't know what their rights are. They'll say stupid things to you and are all liberal and think that whatever their society is with crumbling infrastructure, terrible homeless situation, and shit and smell of piss all around the city is okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that in their mind. And on social media, when they say things to you, I will say to them, what are the Bill of Rights? Like, I'm really random about that. Hey, what are the Bill of Rights? Tell me what the first 5 amendments are. They don't answer you. They just come up with, like, all these stupid comments to not answer you. They can't answer simple questions. They can't think. Their job and mission is to not think. Their job and mission is to do whatever the government says, like a slave. And people are trying to bring communism into this country, and when people like me try to wake up these sheeple, their cognitive mind tells them to not listen. And I think one of the reasons I keep hearing the same thing over and over again is because the government's trying to control us. And now they got AI on their side. And I can guarantee a lot of comments that I probably get on social media and the stuff I see on there is probably from AI. Like, AI is really advanced now. It's kind of scary. It's just like those sci-fi movies. Just a long story short, like, we are living in some bizarre times right now. Like, the last time this city was great and full of innovation, the utopia of New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles, and Seattle, was when I was young in my 20s. Fast forward today, that's really not a reality anymore. It's starting to look like a democratic city. Like, when all those riots for George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and all that bullshit, which destroyed the city hall, like, not far behind me, after Election Day, it was all over. Like, it never happened. When you talk about it, nobody knows what you're talking about. It's like they forgot. And then there was another protest, something about abortion. I don't really remember it. It was really stupid altogether. This street I am standing on right now was where it happened. And most of the people that were in that crowd were young people, and they were just shouting stuff on a thing that didn't make any sense. I couldn't understand what they were saying. And they had a communist flag. They were blocking these roads. And it made me want to, like, put on a gangster suit and get a Tommy gun and clean up the crowd, because I'm getting so fucking sick of all these crowds and people protesting and vandalizing our cities, blocking our roads, destroying buildings and businesses, but yet they claim that their lives matter and that no justice, no peace. But once the election's over, it's all over like it doesn't happen. And I can guarantee I'm probably going to get comments saying really dumb things, but it's reached to the point to where I just don't bother answering. Like, I'll read it, and if it's worth my time responding, I'll answer. But, like, for the most part, I just don't read it. Like, it's a total waste of my time because they're brainwashed. Again, their mission is to not think. They are slaves to the government and the system, just like what China wants to bring here. China has been coming after us for decades. And honestly, America has been starting to look like a third world country long before Donald Trump was president, long before Obama was even president. I started noticing it in, like, the mid-90s and the early 2000s. That was when stuff was really starting to change.